Welcome to episode 3 of Piss Gaming. As you see, I have a guest here today. I'd like to introduce everyone to my brother Antoine.
How you doing, everybody?
If you guys remember, I said that I want to do interviews and everything like that as part of this channel to highlight all aspects of gamers and the different type of gamers there are and everything like that. And it is a great how I say, it's a great honor for me for my first interview to be my brother since we've been gaming since he was my first, player too. So, so it's like I said, it's an honor for you to be my first interview because as far as gaming history go back, you're part of, my history, your history. At least in the beginning, it's virtually the same almost.
Yeah, they're definitely intertwined.
Yes. So, with that being said, like I said, I wanted to, introduce you guys to Antoine, and we will kick this off. So, what is your earliest video game memory?
My earliest video game memory. Uh, that's a good one, actually. I'm not sure exactly what my first video game memory it was. I mean, it would have to be probably getting an Atari.
Mm-hmm.
The Atari was probably like the system that was one of the ones that we actually played when we were kids, very small. And then from there, probably would have been like the arcades.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up, going to the arcades down the street and putting quarters in and playing those games.
Right.
Yeah, but I would say that Atari 2600 was probably one of my earliest and first experience and memories that I can recall.
Yeah, definitely. The Atari was definitely our first video game system that we had, and I'm trying to remember if cause one of the other earlier ones that I remember was KK had this game system at her house, her apartment, whatever, and it was like a spaceship slash airplane. And you had to dash in between the walls that was coming towards you. I think it was like a Odyssey or whatever. It was like a Vectrex machine, or maybe, but that is also one of my earlier ones. But definitely the Atari 2600 because that was in the house and we had daily access to that thing. And so, what is some of your favorite games on that?
From the 2600? My favorite one would probably had to been E.T. It's considered one of the most hated games, but I loved it. For the simple fact that like we beat it without an instruction manual. We figured out how to get E.T. home, and that was it didn't follow the movie. The video game did not follow the movie by any means necessary. But for some reason, if you think about some references from the movie, you figured out how to get E.T. home. So that was one of my favorite ones. One was a little bit monotonous and just very repetitive, as a lot of games in that time would go, was Demon Attack.
Yes, Demon Attack. Yeah, Demon Attack was definitely a good one. Bloop, 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 bloop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just shooting up at 3 spaceships and different levels, and those same 3 spaceships, eventually those spaceships would break apart into 2. You had to keep shooting until you cleared all the screens off. It was
You thought they were spaceships? I thought they was like flying aliens or whatnot.
I guess they could have been
like
flying
birds
aliens.
and things like that.
Yeah.
They looked that way to me. But we talking about Atari 2600 graphics, so it's all whatever you picture in your mind.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Because when it come out, was it even 8-bit?
Oh, it wasn't even nowhere near 8-bit.
It wasn't
the
even
Nintendo
8-bit.
was 8-bit.
Yeah.
That was like 2 or 4-bit.
Yeah, so the pixelation of the game definitely left it for room for interpretation of what your mind would come up to, what it is that you were playing.
Yeah, back then the box art really did mean something. It gave you your idea of what you should be picturing during this game.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, one of my other favorite games that was on that Atari 2600 was a Haunted House.
Oh yes.
Yeah, Haunted House was a very scary game, even though like I was saying at the time, it was very low grade if you compare it to now. But when you're just a kid and you get those eyeballs, you're trying to find those three pieces to make the key, and uh, you had the spider, the ghost, and a bat chasing you through those floors while you're trying to find those. That was
Running
actually
into invisible locked doors and
yeah.
things like that, and then and then the sound when they actually got you and attack.
Mm-hmm.
If you turn out the lights and turn up the sound, scare the shit out of you every time.
Scared the hell out of you. And I mean, they had like I think 9 levels, but the ninth level was the hardest one because you didn't get any matches.
Mm-hmm.
You're basically running around to the different floors, not knowing that you're going to run into a wall or anything. It's completely in darkness. You had to find those keys and get out of there. But yeah, you get a spider or a ghost or something to lock onto you. You're running and you hit a wall. It just gets the old ticker running.
Yeah. So also just to give a idea, cause that was in the that was like around 86, 80 something like that. So we're yeah. So you're about 8. I'm about 9. Somewhere around in there, give or take a year or whatnot. So we kind of young on the young side. Going playing scary games and things like that. So it was definitely that one of the ones that I hate that we did not figure out was Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I am a little bit. That's one of the games I would like to go back and actually figure out.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to have a thing where something in the back of my mind stays in there forever until I figure out what it is.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to know what was the way to beat Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, because I remember, again, because, okay, so one of the things, because we all talking about we got no instruction manuals, whatever, we didn't get the games new, or at least when they first came out. Like I told you guys before, we didn't grow up rich, nowhere near. We was on, our mother was on public assistance or whatever, so she would get the check every month. And one of my favorite memories or whatever is, she'd get her money and we would take the bus down 47th Street. We was on State. Anyway, we'd take the bus a couple miles down the street, get off, and go to Gold Blacks. And then go down in the basement where they had the game case or whatever, and it was filled with a whole bunch of Atari 2600 games that was deeply discounted because this was after the video game crash. And so they were deeply discounted, and we would pick one game. And it was just the cartridge, no manuals, none of that, and then would go back and play it or whatnot.
I actually don't remember any of that.
You don't remember going to get the
Getting games and go blacks? No. For some reason I felt like when we got the Atari, it was just like we had like maybe 13 games or something like that, and that was just like it to me. Like it was like we had those to choose from, and I never remember adding to the collection or anything.
Maybe you was at home or something, but yeah, I definitely remember going to pick out one. It was like you get 1 month or whatever. That was our little treat or whatnot.
Yeah, that's cool. Kept us occupied.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we had no manuals and everything like that. So yeah, so trying to figure out these games and whatnot was definitely one of that was part of the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Just figuring out what this game do, what you're supposed to be doing and whatnot. So
yeah,
definitely.
And one that we did not ever saw was Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Mm-hmm.
I remember going to different screens, and one day I put a bomb or something on one side of the screen, and we went off the screen. We come back, and there's a cave or a hole in there, and that was like the most progress we made.
It was like, whoa!
Yeah. And it just took us into another room where we never figured out what to do next after that, if I'm not mistaken.
I remember the thing where you had to like jump to the different thing, this little, I think that's probably what his whip was, and you like have to whip and jump over to that particular space, because if you walked out of that space, you just fell and died, and you had to just like, so it's like I think that was like you whip into that particular location because Indiana Jones whip. Anyway, but yeah, so in Indiana Jones on the Atari 2600, one of our deep requests that we did not learn how to beat while we was, little children. So going past the 2600, what's your next thingy?
Easily it was like the Nintendo NES that we got for Christmas. That was probably, I would say, my induction into the video game world that I can fondly remember of looking back and had great memories of playing that system. There's countless games back in there. You had the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Mario. Yeah, Ninja Gaiden 2.
Oh yeah.
Man, there's just so many. I can't think of any at the moment, but I know we played on a lot of game systems. And of course, Zelda.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely Zelda.
Die-hard Zelda fan because of that.
Yeah, definitely. So, man, so many to kind of delve into, but yeah, definitely Zelda, the first one.
I do remember in the last episode you pointed out that how you had an advantage of playing Mario.
Oh.
when we got the NES, and let me tell you guys, that was annoying. I was basically still learning how to walk and jump on the game with Luigi because I was player number 2, and him being player number 1. So I would watch him go through World 1, World 2, and I finally get my turn, and I was just still learning how to play it, and I get killed by the first Goomba that pops up on the scene, and now I gotta watch him go a couple of more worlds, and before he finally dies, before I get my chance for player 2. I get past that first Goomba, and I come across my first pit hole, and you gotta learn how to jump over it. You gotta learn how to jump and press over at the same time, or whatever, get your timing right. I die. And now I gotta watch him do whatever he has to do forever. And that was my own emotional hell. And I had to sit there and wait until my next turn comes because he was much better at it than I was. I tell you one thing, if he knew how to get his, because once I died, it was basically if I ran out of men, then I had to sit there and wait till he finished playing. But fortunately, I don't think you were good enough to get to like the first world.
I only knew the first world.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I only really knew the first world, whatever, because it's not like I had a whole bunch of money to put into an arcade, thing or whatnot.
I was gonna say, if you learn how to get those infinite men,
oh, bloop, bloop, bloop,
yeah,
bloop.
There would have been some, a lot of reset incidents on the reset button if that would have happened. That's all I can say.
Oh, yeah. Those were good times. But you eventually, learned how to play and started to catch up, and we were going back and forth or whatnot. It wasn't that big of a learning curve for you.
Mm-hmm. But I think that actually set me up for a lot of ways of what I do now. I observed you playing the game, and I've done that a lot throughout the times. No matter what systems we gotten in the past until now, even to this day, I can come and sit down and watch you play because I know my limitations or things that I like where I could like to watch a game that you're playing, but I know for a fact that I'm not going to sit down and take the time to play it.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's one of those things, and that probably started back from when I was just a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking about it just now.
Right, definitely. So, you said that the Zelda was transformative for you. What was so transformative?
I don't know. Zelda was just because I like puzzles. I like games that stimulate the brain,
Mm-hmm.
There are games where, it's just side-scrolling, you have an objective to get to the other end, avoid things, and that's fine. That's cool. It's good hand-eye coordination kind of games, but Zelda just took me to a whole nother thing where it was top-down, and you can roam around to different rooms and figure out different puzzles to get past different rooms, and, it really made my brain think you could collect certain objects that you can use and order to defeat other obstacles or bosses and stuff like that. So that was actually really cool. It had a great storyline.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even if you compared it to Mario just wanted to save the princess, and him and his brother took time to try to go and beat Bowser. But Zelda, it was Link, and he had to get himself up. He had to get the tunics that made him stronger. Found a Master Sword. Find the arrows, earn up the rupees. It was just a great world that was created for that game.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was a game after my own heart for a long time. Different versions of that game was actually just something I had to see how they did.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the ones, like, remember the Dark Woods, and you had to like figure out how to get through there. I don't remember if we figured it out on our own or did we use the Nintendo Power.
For getting out of the Lost Woods?
Yeah, the Lost Woods, the Dark Woods, whatever it was called in the first one.
Yeah, so the Lost Woods, I do remember, like, if you looked at the map that came with the manual that only had so much portions of Hyrule,
Mm-hmm.
you knew that the map led to the Lost Woods, and you knew that there was a castle 4 or 5 up there, but you had to go through it. And I remember it being a certain particular pattern.
Right, it was a certain pattern.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember, did we figure it out or did we,
And then I also remember it was like you had to just keep going straight up about 4 or 5 times, and that would access something too.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure how we came up with figuring that out. It was a while back, but I couldn't tell you.
Right. But yeah, definitely, and basically everything you said about The Legend of Zelda and why it's one of your favorites, even to this day, is pretty much with me, because I do, like you said, like puzzles. I do like adventure. It had the different dungeons. It had the overworld that you could explore and everything like that. It had secrets within the overworld where you just get a whole bunch of bombs and just bomb all the walls, and then get a candle and just burn all the bushes to try and figure out where they got the different secret hidden caves or entrances at or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And then after you beat it, you could turn around and they had a harder thing. I remember if you put your name as Link, they had a whole nother.
Oh, that's right. They switched all the dungeons and
switched all the dungeons around and stuff like that. Yeah.
I forgot all about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that was kind of cool because that game came with a memory card built into the cartridge.
Right.
So,
it had a battery for saving.
Yeah, and that took it to a whole nother level because you could have either your name, my name, and a third name.
Right, it had 3 spots.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think our mother played that with us too. She probably had that third slot too.
Maybe.
It's possible. Because we do come from a family of gamers after that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. So you got that. And but speaking of games that mom used to play, everybody knows Ninja Gaiden is one of the hardest games on the Nintendo. And for me, if you did not get to the last set of stages, set of boards, whatever, without using a continue, you might as well start over.
Mm-hmm.
Because those last boards were just super duper hard.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother played it. She used to play it. She got decently far on it also. I think she would use up her continue to get to the last board and not actually able to beat it, but she played and got to the last board. I'm pretty sure on that one, and then she would, hand the controller over to one of us to play or whatnot. But yeah, she definitely played Ninja Gaiden.
Oh wow, that just actually reminded me of another game we used to love, and I still do. Castlevania.
Oh yes.
That was another side-scrolling game. I don't think it had any saves.
Yeah, it did. It had it had passwords.
It passwords, okay.
Right, it had passwords.
And that game was awesome as well. You get the Simon Belmont.
Yeah, because it was playing. We started Castlevania 2. We didn't have Castlevania 1.
Yeah.
We did Simon's Quest.
Oh yeah, and played that out and played those levels. Got all the way, which I think you had to find the eyeball, the rib, the heart, and take those different parts of Dracula, throw them into the platter and light it up and fight Dracula and kick butt on that one. That was another one, yeah.
Yeah, you definitely remember that one better than I do. Funny fact, or a fun fact, not necessarily a funny fact, but I have that on the Xbox. They released the Castlevania pack-in. I have that one. I started to play it a little bit.
Yeah.
And they also got a whole bunch of Atari games on there too. So they got a whole bunch of Atari games on there also that I haven't bought those, but I want to see who they have in that particular, because it's 2 volumes and it's like 50 games each. So
Midway Classics.
No, Atari 2600.
Oh really?
Yeah, and they on sale right now for like $10 each.
So I have to look into it. I know there's a lot of games like that. I've started looking back, but I would necessarily not want to do the emulators, but if they got the classic feel to them, yeah, why not? I'm not opposed to it.
So now I'm thinking or wondering, is Indiana Jones and had those Atari 2600 ones?
That'd be kind of cool.
And it would definitely be playing a game from 40 years ago on a Xbox Series X.
I mean, we were talking about what? Indiana Jones, E.T., Dig Dug, Donkey Kong, Berserk, Super Breakout.
Yeah, Super Breakout.
Yeah, and there was another one on there.
Don't forget Combat, Air Sea, Land.
Yeah.
Yeah, a whole bunch of different games and stuff like that. So, yeah, but we had a decent amount of regular Nintendo games.
Yeah. Link 2.
Yeah, Link 2, although that's the stepchild for the Link series for me anyway.
Yeah. Now that one I knew we had to use a walkthrough in order to figure out how to beat that game. At least for me, because the up and down on the elevators, that was actually very annoying. Because you go up to this level, you go down to this level, you go up to this level and go back this way, go to this elevator, go down. That got very annoying. So I remember using a walkthrough book about that thick that showed you how to beat that game. And that's all I really needed for, because I wouldn't say that any of the puzzles or anything found in there was hard enough. Those were eventually solved. It was just finding a path that they was trying to lead us up and down with. I think that's one of the most annoying things that people complain about with that game.
Yeah, so we definitely had a lot of things on the Nintendo.
One other before you, if you're deciding to move on, I think there's one worth talking about that actually shaped us, and we played a lot of it as well.
What's that?
Metroid.
Oh, hell yeah.
Metroid was a bomb.
Yeah, Metroid is definitely good. Metroid, you can, no, not the same way. I was about to say you can think of it as a space Zelda, but it doesn't have the same dungeons.
It doesn't have the same dungeons, but I can say it still qualifies as almost like a sci-fi spacious Zelda type of thing, because you're still doing upgrades. You're still using a map to get around and get everything you need. Yeah, I mean, you're, instead of fighting Ganon, you're fighting Mother Brain. You're not necessarily trying to save someone. You're just trying to exterminate a threat, which is almost the same thing. But yeah, that was a great game.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yes, Metroid is definitely up there as far as one of the games that I just love.
Metroid, yeah. Mega Man is in that genre too, as far as Nintendo games, but it wasn't a brain teaser as much as Zelda or Metroid was.
No, well, I actually don't have much love for Mega Man at all.
Nah?
No, not really.
Okay, well, understandable. Yeah, because I didn't really fall in love with Mega Man to that level until we got into the PlayStation.
Yeah, because I know you liked it on Zero.
Exactly.
But yeah, so that was that, and then our Nintendo got stolen.
Yeah. Son of a
bitch. Yeah, we got robbed. The Nintendo got taken away and everything like that. This had to be right around 90, 91 or something like that. Because Christmas was rolling around again, and the Super Nintendo was just released, and we did ask our mother asked us what we wanted, for Christmas or whatever, and we knew our situation. We knew, ain't nobody rolling in dough and everything like that, and it was like, would be cool just getting another Nintendo, because we liked it, and like I said, we're not rolling in dough. It'll come eventually. We'll get it eventually when it comes down to price and all that other stuff. Up to that point, we wasn't never on the cusp, the bleeding edge of technology and gaming or whatnot. So it was like, yeah, just get us another Nintendo. So Christmas rolls around, and
man, we're gonna wrap it up and got a upgrade. We expect a Nintendo, got a Super Nintendo, and what's the game that came with? Do you remember? I know.
Super Mario
I remember
World.
Super Mario World. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Link to the Past was in there.
No.
But Super Mario World was enough to keep us satisfied for quite some time. Because it was like, I think 96 places on the map that you can.
Oh yeah, it had was it 96 stars?
Yeah, 96 stars in the whole little path. I still have that whole song in my head just walking on the map.
Yeah, 96 was in there somewhere, definitely. I remember Star Road, and what the first place was called Donut Hills, the first world. But yeah, definitely. And like you said, we got that thing, and it was total shock. It wasn't one of those like, oh, we was expecting a Super Nintendo. No, we was expecting a Nintendo, and we got a Super Nintendo, and it was total shockage, and just one of those. And I just still remember us, cause when they took the Nintendo, they had also took our TV, which was like a 25-inch or something like that. It was either 19 or 25-inch color TV or whatever. All we had left was a little 9 or 13-inch black and white TV, and we took our Super Nintendo and hooked it up to a black and white TV, either 9 or 13 inches, whatever it was, at the kitchen table, and we was in gaming bliss.
Yeah. Man, that was a good time, man.
I'm trying to think, how long did it take before we got a color TV to put that Nintendo on?
Well, here's the thing. You remember the black and white TV connecting. I completely erased that out of my mind. That's not a memory I wanted to have. The time that I can remember playing it was on that Magnavox. It was a Philips Magnavox, much bigger, sexy as hell. It was a big back TV, but they all were big back TVs back then. But yeah, I remember seeing my earliest memory of the Super Nintendo was on that color screen, and beautiful. But that was, good times and a good game. I remember trying to figure out how to get the right timing so I can keep Mario or Luigi up in the air while you take your cape and you.
Oh yeah.
Ring.
Yeah, because you had to press back on the controller.
Yeah.
At a certain amount. When he was finished, start nose diving, hit the back button and bring it back up.
Yeah, you can nose dive.
Or you can nose dive and then bring them up for a higher, to gain altitude. Yeah.
And there was parts on that map where if you wanted to unlock another board, you literally had to fly, dive under the gate, and come back up. And there was a second gate beyond there that actually unlocked a secret part on the map. And I don't know, I think we were just trying something and we came across that, and that was pretty cool because it was you had to jump off of one of the, it was a death hole right before the gate. And one of us said, hey, what happens if we just fly? And you had to pull up because of course you go too low, you die. So you had to time that just perfectly. Or you can run with Yoshi and sacrifice Yoshi, which I'm sure a lot of people did.
Bye, Yoshi.
That's just cruel how Yoshi died sometimes. You had to get across this very large lava pit. You get that running star, you jump. Bye, Yoshi. You just watch him just fall in the water.
Wow.
Shout out to the number one sidekick out there.
But the beautiful thing, he was always waiting in the egg form for you next level.
Yeah. And I think it was when you get to Star Road, that's when you had the other ones. The sand
the
Yoshi, the fire Yoshi, and the flying Yoshi. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah, Super Nintendo was definitely awesome system. Like you said, we started out with Super Mario World.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned Zelda: Link to the Past.
That's Link to the Past, yes.
Yes. Then we also had Super Castlevania.
Mm-hmm.
We had Super Star Wars. It was the whole Star Wars trilogy. Yeah, I think we also had Contra 3 Alien Wars.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a whole bunch of different games that we had on the Super Nintendo.
Metroid?
Definitely Super Metroid.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, just took regular Metroid and totally blew it up. I'm trying to think at some point in between there, maybe. Well, no, not in between there, but later on. But that's we had got a Game Boy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't remember where that kind of coincided, but I remember Metroid on the Game Boy also.
Yeah, I remember playing that on there. I played Metroid on there. I played Zelda on the Game Boy before. Yeah, fun fact, our aunt, she still has the original big brick Game Boy. So yeah, I think the only thing that's missing on it is a back, which you can actually purchase on Amazon or somewhere. You can go online and find an actual replacement for the back of that. A big old brick battery eater.
Yes, batteries on top of batteries on top of batteries.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure though it could be something. If you was to actually bring that to use again, there's got to be some kind of rechargeable
battery.
You can just pop in there. Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. But you got the Tetris. Man, I thought it had it in my head, but it just not in my head right now.
Yeah, I know that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Got that in my head, but yeah. So we got the Super Nintendo, whole bunch of different games on it. Like you said, is Link to the Past your favorite Zelda?
Yeah, hands down my favorite one. Only because I don't know, it's the colors and everything. It got more saturated. I mean, it went up to what, 32-bit? Was it?
No, that was 16-bit.
16-bit. I mean, it got better clarity in there, and then like just the towns and the traveling, everything. You saw more layers. Like when you went into the dark, when you went into the Lost Woods, you could see like shadowing and the most visually effective game for that time.
Mm-hmm.
There were other, of course, Zelda games after that, but I don't know. That one was great because it was a nice long play.
Right. Did you ever play Ocarina of Time?
Ocarina of Time? I think I attempted it, but I think that was around the time where I had just started to leave Zelda alone for, I don't know, I got busy with other things or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just wondering because, a lot of people say that that's their best Zelda, and I just wondered if you played them both, was able to, specify which was which,
Ocarina of Time. I know I did not play Majora's Mask.
Majora's Mask.
Yeah, I didn't play that. Or I didn't play the Wind Waker.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, Wind Waker.
Yeah.
So a cartoon one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't like the graphics on that. But I mean, if you want to talk about Super Nintendo, one fond memory I do have is when we went with you because you saved up enough money to get this game that you didn't pump so many quarters in at the arcade that you just had to have it when it came out. And that was
Street Fighter.
Yeah, Street Fighter 2.
Yeah, Street Fighter 2.
Yeah, I remember riding home on the bus and you had popped the game away, but you was reading reading the box or reading the instruction manuals or something like that. You couldn't wait to get that home and crack that bad boy open. Yeah, I think me, you, and a couple of our neighbor friends couldn't wait to get that bad boy open so we could start playing that game.
Definitely. Yeah, that was a good home conversion of the arcade too.
Yeah, I would say so. I didn't pump a lot of quarters in at the arcade as far as that goes, but I remember sitting and watching it, and it's a pretty good rendition of it. Yeah,
Hmm.
I don't know about the speed rate or anything comparison, but yeah, it looks like the exact same thing.
Yeah, maybe you ain't got the two sitting right next to each other. It definitely passes mustard. It wasn't, arcade perfect conversion, but it was definitely good enough. And then, like you said, it's just put in so many quarters in Street Fighter that when finally got it, at the house and everything like that, just saved so much money.
Yeah.
For a while. So, what was your favorite character in Street Fighter?
Favorite character was Blanca.
Mm.
Something about him being able to do the roll and the electric, which was cool. But ideally, you never really did the electric because somebody can hear you charging up the electric, trying to press it real fast all the time. They would try to get ready for it. But I don't know. For some reason, with Blanca, I was really able to, for some reason, fight with just one button.
That medium kick.
Yeah. The medium kick override a lot of people's stuff, man. I would come in, do a pop, 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 jump in the air, put the ball of my foot. If the ball of my foot landed on Ryu or Ken's uppercut or saw you get, if it hits there, it overrides, and then I would get the hit instead of them. So that was my go-to guy. Ball, kick, get up close, munch on his head. You know what I'm saying? When he backflips off, roll at him. Until somebody figured out that pattern. That was the pattern. Now, ideally, who was your favorite character?
I think when it first started, it was Ryu. Because he was the prototypical, it was like no really bad matchups. He could do everything, so he always had something to do in any situation or whatnot. But I turned to Guile and became more of a Guile fan. I think it was the simplified input because he was a charge character, and then also would play him more defensive, and which I know would get on somebody's nerves a little bit. Like, God damn it, every time I come in this motherfucker.
Yeah, it was definitely a defensive character.
Yeah, so I would play him more defensive and everything like that. So, who was the person, or not the person, but the character that you hated fighting against the most in that game?
The fighting against, ideally would probably have to be M. Bison. If you was to make it all to level M. Bison, he would get annoying because I would find all the other ones a little bit easier to get to, but M. Bison, he took advantage of anything if you were slipping. Psycho Crush, him zipping across the screen at you. If you made any mistakes and you were drilling on him, as soon as you left an opening, he would punish you, and then you're gonna tell him how much he's gonna take away, and it's very hard to actually beat the game against him. So he was my hardest one that I thought to fight against.
Yeah, definitely. But he was the end boss, so of course he was going to have a certain amount of cheese.
Yeah.
Cheese with him and everything like that. So, and it was, remember, defeating bosses back in the day was definitely an accomplishment. I did it! Look. And then if you could do it without, because actually, you could always do it eventually, but the thing was to do it without having to continue, because it gave. I remember if you did it without continuing, you also got a picture of all, it's like a collage picture of everybody.
Oh yeah.
If you was over a certain level and then you beat the game without continuing, they gave you a collage picture as a reward. So that was definitely cool. You couldn't do that on the lower one, and you weren't gonna get that picture. I think it had to be over like level 3 or 4 or something like that as far as difficulty. But yeah, definitely love that particular game. It's still my favorite fighting game series to this day. Then DOA. I like DOA. I don't know if DOA is definitely one of my favorites. I don't know if it's second or third or whatnot, but yeah, definitely it's up there.
I do remember playing DOA. That was later though.
Yeah, DOA it's good, but it's niche, and it doesn't get a lot of respect from a lot of other fighting game peoples because all the boobage.
Oh yeah. I mean, but that probably might be where I played it. I want I like forms of entertainment, and you want to go for the cheap entertainment? I'll take the cheap entertainment.
Right. But speaking of other fighting games, although, yeah, actually that was on the Super Nintendo, and I was actually gonna put this in another thingy, but remember Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters?
Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters? No.
No, you didn't get to that one? Okay, that might have came a little bit later on, but yeah, the Ninja Turtles had a fighting game on the Super Nintendo.
No, I can't even remember that.
Okay, so.
I know they had like a Turtles in Time.
Yeah, Turtles in Time and everything like that, so you didn't get to do the fighting game one. So we didn't have that one. Played that elsewhere, I guess.
Probably so.
Yep.
Because I think that's only the two turtle games that I do remember playing. The NES was the Ninja Turtles running around, and then Turtles in Time that was based off the arcade, which was on Super Nintendo.
Yep. And then that Nintendo, the Super Nintendo made a untimely demise. I remember.
Oh yeah.
Trying to fix that bad boy.
I still tell people this story to this day.
Oh, and then tell people.
Well, I put it like this. Well, this is when I knew that me and my brother were destined for something as far as electricity. So our Nintendo, for some reason, it called its own version of the Red Ring of Death or something. Basically, it's just you clicked on the power on and it never powered on. So, I was like, babe, vayos con Dios, go with God. And my brother said, I can get this thing to work. It's not getting a charge or something. I'll figure out a connection to it. So I remember sitting down in the room across from me. I'm reading a comic book and he's fidgeting with an open console. And what he had did was he took a cord off some kind of appliance and cut the cord and took off the ends of the cord and plugged it into the wall. I knew this was a bad idea. I'm sure at some part of his mind he thought this was a bad idea, but he was going to go forward with it. So I'm sitting there reading a comic book, and to the right of my eyes, I see him taking one end of the cord, one end of here, and just putting it on random places on the motherboard inside of inside of the console. And I just figured he knew what he was doing. But anyway, he must have made some kind of connection because while I was reading my comic book, all of a sudden, this whole side of the whole room just went blue. Very blue. And I look over and basically he made an arc. The plug was blown out, and
did you blow the plug out?
I know there was some darkness over there by that plug. Yeah, it might still work, but I mean, I don't remember anything out of that part as far as using that. But when I looked over to the right, it was like watching my brother look like a Simpson character, because he was just sitting there looking at me, and there's smoke coming up from the console, and he's got his hands holding like this, and his eyes are just gotta be like 4 or 5 times wider than normal, and he looked like a Simpson, and he was just sitting there like, and I just looked at him, and I realized he was still alive. I went back to reading my comic book, like, lesson learned, okay? He just unlocked an achievement award for that one. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Were you blind for a little while or anything? Because you're looking directly into it.
I don't think I would. If you're like, whoa. Yeah, maybe I should be fucking around with live wires. Unplug that shit.
120, bro.
Just close this up and
Trash it. It's a done deal. I mean, if it could have been saved, after that, it definitely was not going to be saved. It was a wrap.
Oh man.
Fun fact, me and my brother to this day, we still work with electricity. Maybe that'd been the first clue that, hey, it might be our calling.
That was funny. Could have turned out differently, but it was, I knew enough not to like actually touch anything directly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, that stuff, some stuff. So yeah, that was the demise of the Super Nintendo. And then I think, remember David, and he had a Nintendo, and I remember going over his house and playing his Nintendo a couple times, not a whole lot, but I remember we did that a couple times because he had Carnage.
Carnage.
The Spider-Man game.
I remember that.
Maximum Carnage.
Maximum Carnage, yeah.
Yeah, I remember playing that over his house a couple times. I remember. Then we spent the night one time and left the game on because we had to go to bed or something. I don't know. It seemed like we went over there one time. It was time to go to bed. We had got kind of far in the game, but didn't want to turn it off because, of course, it had to start over because this was the regular Nintendo and whatnot. And I think we left it on, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we also tried to hide the red light because they wasn't supposed to be leaving it on overnight because, you know, using my electricity, boy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that seems like that happened. It may have not happened, may have. I don't know, but that's a memory in my mind.
Oh, okay. I don't remember doing that. It might have been a sleepover that you had by yourself over there.
Possibly.
Did the game burn up or not burn up? That just being on all night. That I thought you were gonna say that game itself also clunked out or something.
Oh no.
Okay, so it's still fine.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Yeah.
I do remember, as far as the Super Nintendo goes, I believe this is where me and you definitely had a splitting of such because you were more into Final Fantasy.
Oh yeah.
And I think Final Fantasy was on Super Nintendo.
So Final Fantasy was on the Super Nintendo. Yes, it was.
It wasn't my cup of tea. He loved it. So, I would sit back and every once in a while watch them cast. He would cast some kind of fighting programming in there. So, you would see some cool effects where a dragon would swoop down and spray the whole scene or something like that. It was interesting to look at from time to time, get a glimpse of, but it wasn't necessarily something I would sit down and actually put more time and effort into. But yeah, that was definitely your thing.
Yeah, definitely. So, like you said, we was getting ready to split off. So, what did you split off to?
More like puzzle games, I guess I would say. What was that? Split off into, because I think in the next system was what, I know we had a Dreamcast for some time. And then I believe it was
the Dreamcast. Shoot, I was married and I had got that Dreamcast.
Oh, man. Well, then, of course, PlayStation then.
Yeah, PlayStation. That came out in 95, 96.
Mm-hmm. I can't honestly say what I split off into as far as definitive, because I don't know, I was trying to just search and find out what it is that entertained me and what did PlayStation or the video game world had to offer for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was getting very picky about what I would play.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember A's Odyssey.
My name is A. Yes. I work at Rutger Farm. That was another one that Mom liked. Hello.
Yeah, Abe's Odyssey was pretty cool, so I would play that. That was a brain teaser because you had to figure out how to get those survivors all back there.
If anybody died, start it over.
Yeah, you had to figure out how to get them safely to one end to the other end, and avoid setting off the alarms, and that was a good one. I actually really enjoyed that. What other games was like that? Of course, Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider was good.
Oh yes.
It was a puzzle solver, trying to match things and collecting stuff, and I wouldn't say it was a super brain teaser though.
Depends on which one.
Yeah.
Yeah, not necessarily the first one. Although Again, that's another one that mom used to like to play and everything like that. And especially after I moved out,
Mm-hmm.
she would call me back to help her pass certain parts. But this thing, especially like the third one,
Yeah.
I think that one had more tougher puzzles, and she's like, I can't figure it out. Come back and blah blah blah, and come over and figure it out and whatever. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, Tomb Raider was on another level. So was just PlayStation in general.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I remember I was working at Jewel Osco, which is like a giant or a smaller like shop supermarket. I don't know where you guys are watching this at from, but we have Jewel Osco down here, and where I'm from now is actually a giant. It's the equivalent version of that on the East Coast. But I remember talking to some coworkers.
Oh.
And they were trying to explain to me what Tomb Raider was. And it's like, man, this girl, she's running around, she's shooting tigers, and it locks onto them, and like the tiger's running around her. Now I'm still in my mind on a 2D side scrolling type of thing. And I'm like locking on the tigers and going all the way around. Like I'm like I couldn't wrap my mind around it, and they couldn't stop talking about she got these big tits or boobs, and I'm like, okay, so I didn't see any kind of advertisement for this and nothing like that. So I was just trying to wrap my head around what is this Tomb Raider that they're talking about, and then I finally got a chance to see it, and then like that's when you start seeing more of the behind point of view of the characters that you're playing, and that was a game changer. And PlayStation brought that to me. So,
yeah, third person view,
mm-hmm.
Third person shooter basically. Yeah, so Tomb Raider is definitely one of the first third person shooters, adventures, and things like that. The damn dinosaur, still one of the, one of those moments in video game history or whatever, that when you first come across a damn dinosaur, what the fuck is a dinosaur doing here? Mm-hmm. So yeah, definitely, that was that, and then that's also, as we alluded to earlier, when you got into Mega Man Zero,
mm-hmm.
or Mega Man X, I should say.
Yeah, he was a up close and personal kind of fighter, which I liked about that game. The Mega Man's a pass was like you would shoot magnets or blaster, you charge up the blasters and you shoot them across the screen in order and dodging stuff, which is fine. But when Zero came out, I think it was like Mega Man X-3 or something to that extent. It was a great game,
Mm-hmm.
and you had to learn how to you get double jumps, you get a dash, you pull out the light sword and get in there and just start doing your patterns to fight the enemy. A spinning cyclone of with a sword on the outside. It was a great game, but it was I definitely felt Zero. He took the shine away from Mega Man for me. That was my character.
They also got that collection that you could purchase on the Xbox.
Yeah, I mean, I have some old emulated versions of Mega Man, and I don't play them as much because it doesn't have Zero in it, and it's fine to play with Mega Man. Don't get me wrong, I don't hate the guy. It just doesn't do anything.
No, I'm saying they got the X's.
It's got the X's?
Yeah, they got the Mega Man X's with the Zero and everything. So maybe get to play it a little bit. But so you got that. Another game I remember that you used to like was Super Puzzle Fighter.
Oh yeah, Super Puzzle Fighter was awesome.
Yeah, I think that was arrived on the PlayStation when that one first came up.
Yeah, Super Puzzle Fighter was really good because it was like a combination of Street Fighter and Tetris put together, and there's a whole nother combination of something else in there that I just don't know what the ingredient is, but it tastes great. You're stacking the cubes, and the light cubes will get bigger, and as the cube gets like massive of this one particular color, when you actually put an activating gem on there and break that color, it would send more cubes into the other side of your opponent's screen. And depending on which character you had, which were like a combination of Street Fighter and Darkstalkers, they all had their own counter. Like you had counter attacks for fighting game, but on Super Puzzle Fighter you had counter patterns of the way your color cubes would drop down on your opponents. So if you knew what their counter pattern was, you could plan out better, figuring out how to get rid of your blocks and get rid of the blocks that's going to be coming your way and use that against them. I used to play with Donovan. He seemed like he had a red and yellow kind of pattern that I would put on somebody else. It was good. I mean, I got really good at stacking my cubes and getting rid of them at just the right time that would allow me to, give the person I'm fighting for the run for their money. I think it was one of the few games that I actually could play against you.
Yeah, I was about to say, cause you what you just said was like I'm right here, and you just talked about right here about the counters and everything like that. You know, I'm over here playing checkers, and your ass was playing chess, apparently, because I'm like, because I knew, that each character had different, way that they dropped the blocks. Especially like I think Ken was like the easy because he dropped all red or some crap like that. Dan, okay,
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, and it's just like it was easy to get rid of his stuff or whatever, and I knew that, but I didn't necessarily think of it as, this is that character, these are the color blocks that he's gonna be dropping, so set yourself up so when he dropped his colors or whatever, you're actually ready to get rid of those blocks, this, that, yeah.
Yeah. So his pattern would fall on yours that you've already set up. And if you timed it right with those activating gems things, you could make a chain. And if you got all the yellows go, all the reds would go, all the whatever, those sizes, you could actually drop a tombstone. Because my character, when he really smashed you, he literally drops a tombstone on you, and it's just game over. Love it. Love Donovan. But yeah, that was one of the rare few games that I could actually give my brother competition with, because he is definitely a game connoisseur, and I'm more of a novelist, I would say. I'm not a beginner, I'm not a novice, I'm definitely not an expert, but I like to play it for the entertainment of it. Yeah, and when it came to certain games with my brother here, I don't know, it's like you get the Pokemon theme song, I want to be the very best. That's this guy, especially when it came to Street Fighter or those fighting games, because he spent a lot of time trying to connect combos and finding out those kind of things.
Yeah, actually, I wish we was more closer in skill, because fighting games, especially one-on-one fighting games or whatever, they're most fun when the two people is close in skill. And I know that I was better at most fighting games than you are, and so it's not as fun, because I could see you and Dennis, having fun in fighting games and everything like that, but that's because y'all both just came to them like, oh, this is cool, and y'all just played or whatever. Y'all wasn't studying to try and learn all the combos and trying to see what gives the max damage or this, that, the other, and y'all would go back and forth almost all day long or whatever, and then I come and I play or whatnot, but I have a strong defense, and even if I don't know how to play, defense is almost universal against in fighting games or whatever. So you have a baseline of I'm where you can try some stuff or whatever, and if you learn whatever it is, but you can not get hit even if you can't maximize your damage against a person. You may not know your offense, but you can almost always know your defense. And I knew you would get frustrated a lot. And you're like, all right, that's enough of that shit, man. I'm out of here.
Yeah, I mean, you can only get tired of losing so long before it's just you don't want to stand back in line and lose again. So yeah, we definitely ventured off on there. I mean, like you mentioned, I would play with Dennis, my best friend, games, and the one particular game that we would actually go for hours playing was Bloody Roar, and that was a great game. It's I don't know, it seemed like the graphics were more in line with Tekken or something, because it had that foxiness to it.
Yeah, it came out on the PlayStation right around the time Tekken and everything else came out.
So that was a great fighting game. I used to dominate on there. I was actually better than him, but he would definitely give me a run for my money where I would win. So I used to play with Bakurayu, which was this mole man. He would transform into a mole and have a whole nother fighting technique. He would play mostly with this tiger head guy, and we go back and forth, and then eventually I would get into my stride, and then after that I would be dominating him every time. I would find his weakness and exploit it, and I would end up pissing him off because every time I got through playing the game, like every time I got through playing a round or something, we just getting into it, we're going hard, and I finally beat him, and I just flipped my nose. He told me, he's like, man, I used to hate when you would win and you would always flick your nose, and I'm like, I don't know. It was just a reflex that I did. It was a Bruce Lee thing. I don't know. But, you know, I'm like trying to play the game, and then like I got the victory. Good. You know. So he's like, I should hate that nose flick, man. I want to punch you in the face with that. I was like, hey, sorry. I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, but that was one of the fighting games that I used to play a lot of. I don't know. That was out of the fighting games. I remember that one, and I remember Soul Calibur. Yeah, as far as the heads up kind of games.
Now, you're talking, because I remember the person that you used to play with Soul Calibur later on was Raphael.
That's correct.
Now, you talking about Soul Calibur before Raphael got in?
I think there was one before that, because like I was mostly gravitating to this guy named Maxie.
Oh yes.
That was when I started out with Maxie, and I was good with him for a while, and then when I got to Raphael, it was. I love that, man. Man, with that rapier.
Yeah, I definitely remember that. I played Soul Calibur also, obviously. That's a fighting game. I probably tried it out, especially if he did. But I would start with Taki was the first person I used to love playing with.
That was that ninja girl.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Taki was the ninja girl, and then turned around, and I also played with Baldo.
Oh yeah, Baldo, that weird motherfucker. But to play with him was like, it was art. To know how to play with him was art to watch, because he would do some random stuff, but it would hurt you. But you know, because the way his body moved and everything too, and next thing you know, you got cha. You know what I'm saying? You roll around and get you. So I love watching Baldo, but I would never try to attempt to actually control or fight with him as a character now. But yeah, I definitely love that game. But see, I think this is around the time when we got the PlayStation, and that's why we kind of ventured off, because we had so many, like PlayStation on those disc games. There were so many different games out there that you could try and see what you liked, and it had a lot more to offer that was different compared to those cartridges. It was you could buy more abundance of games and actually try to fill around. Do I like this? Do I like that? Do I like this? When it came to the cartridges, it was like, you know, you're gonna spend your money on this cartridge, and you're gonna pop it in and play it and not like it. Now you spend the money, you're gonna play it for a while.
Well, I think that's also because by the time the PlayStation came out, we were both grown and had our own money and could spend our money on the things that we wanted and liked or whatever. Whereas the Nintendo, you know, was still mostly, you know, gifts and things like that, and you know, that's what we had, and stuff was so expensive anyway. So as we got older, because I remember when I finally started working at my job, one of the first things I did was buy me a PlayStation. With one of my first checks, just bought me a PlayStation, and from there, just bought whatever I wanted to play or whatnot like that. And I think it took you a second before you picked up one, but you eventually probably picked up one. I think I was out the house. Was I out the house at the time?
I'm not sure. I can't, like, the first, I think I might have paid for PlayStation 2.
Okay.
I think that might have been my first console. I don't have a vivid memory of it.
I definitely was going to ask, what was the first console that you yourself bought?
Yeah, if it wasn't the PlayStation 2, I know for a fact it was going to be the 360. But I'm a little hazy about the PlayStation 2, but I do remember having one in the house and everything. And I don't necessarily think you were there at the time.
No, PlayStation 2, I remember I was married. I actually bought a PlayStation 2 And I got Gran Turismo and Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Patriots, or no, that wasn't that. I got Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Patriots wasn't the subtitle. I can't remember the subtitle to it, but I actually returned it less than a week because I was married and this, that, and the other, and it was an expense that I really couldn't afford, even though I had wanted it and I had got it and everything. And the wow factor wasn't enough to not pay my bills. And I'm like, all right, yeah, you gotta go back. I got responsibilities over here.
Yeah, gotta cosplay an adult.
Mm-hmm.
That's all right. Let's see, PlayStation 2. That was a game in my head that just eluded me that we played. Well, I don't know if we played, but I played a lot. But it'll probably come back to me.
Okay. So what did you originally play Marvel vs. Capcom 2 on?
Marvel vs. Capcom 2. See, like, I want to say that was probably Dreamcast.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken. I know that it was on Dreamcast, and I love that game. That was one of the rare fighting games I actually was pretty good at it. I think I gave you a run for your money on some of it. If you played it with me, and anybody else that was actually in the house that played it with me, I was like pretty good with it. Because I know my best friend Dennis, he would actually play with me on that, and we would go for hours.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we would go for hours, and it was evenly matched because he likes to pull out the Sentinel, the big honking robot, and I'm like, where do you hit this thing? And I figured out finally how to fight it, but yeah, he was always I think he had the Hulk and the Sentinel and some other buff motherfucker. And me, I like to play with some characters a little more finesse, like Gambit, Bobby Drake, Iceman, and Spider-Man. So those were strong characters, but they were, not super powerful. So they would slowly take your energy away, and they would shoot across the room, and or they can get up close with you, and they have a good pattern set, a combo set where I can actually take a lot of damage.
Yeah, so yeah, I definitely remember you definitely getting there. I also remember, for some reason, when I figured out how to turn when I turned Zangief into the Iron Zangief, and you got upset.
Yeah.
Because he wouldn't get knocked down or some shit like that.
Yeah, he just basically all you had to do was just walk up to me and beat the hell out of me. There's nothing you can do to stop that, but run away, I guess, until the iron went away.
I don't think it went away, but he can't block in that thing. So it was one of those things where
I had to drain his
health.
health.
Keep attacking and everything like that, and
yeah, but I didn't know that. He was like, he unlocked this thing.
Man, fuck this shit.
He unlocked it, man. I gotta get away. Gotta keep getting away. And I think in my mind, I'm spending more time trying to get away than trying to fight or catch you slipping. So yeah.
Yeah, so I definitely remember that. And then so after that, I do remember you getting into Left 4 Dead.
Yeah, Left 4 Dead. Man, that's the 360. As that game was a whole new open world for me because I'm a big zombie fan. I like to watch scary movies, and and I always liked the zombies. At one point, I always figured if there was going to be one monster that would kind of freak me out, would be a zombie, because anybody could be a zombie. My brother could be a zombie, and you had, I think the worst mentally thing you had to do is to kill a family member, because they're going to kill you eventually. So I've always loved zombies. But then my best friend, he had a 360. He and I went to go visit him, and he was telling me this game called Left 4 Dead, and I sat down with it and I played it, and from the moment I picked up those sticks, I was addicted. I played that game all night, and I think I only played the first campaign where I was just like running around trying to get health packs and pills and shooting zombies, trying to get to the next stage, and it was very, very satisfying to play that game, to say the least. And on a personal note, it's a shooting game where you have your two guns and you don't actually see your face. It's a POV kind of version of it.
First person
shooter where you just see your two guns, whatever gun you're holding at the time to do that, would be an M16 or two pistols or whatever have you, a sniper. And at this point, I actually left the whole shooting genre because I find out that I have motion sickness or some kind of element with the game where if I'm playing in that kind of perspective, it actually gave me headaches behind my eyes, and it made me feel a little queasy in my stomach. And it was due to the way the gun would be moving around, motioning, turning, and everything like that. After so long, I would start to feel weird about it. And also, it was the brightness of the saturation of colors. It just did something to me. So a lot of first-person shooter games I stayed away from.
And especially at that time, like Doom and the thing was speed. Everything was moving fast as hell.
Doom. I couldn't watch Doom or Wolfenstein. I couldn't sit there and watch that I mean, just even talking about it right now is just making my eyes hurt.
You're like, oh, bro, that's all you, bro.
I used to sit there and watch him play games, but those, I would literally leave the room and just let him do his thing. But yeah, something about this game, because it was more dark and grittier, the graphics were a lower level where the lights wasn't messing with me, and I don't know, the speed or the frame rate or whatever it was with that game was perfect. And I played that game all night. The next day, I took my money, and I guess I was doing well at that time, because the next day I went to a Best Buy and I brought an Xbox 360. I brought the game that goes with it, brought an extra stick, controllers, and went home, plugged it up, and I paid for a online membership so I can Xbox Live, and I unlocked, and I played that game for years. Like, not any other games. That one game, that's what I played for years, and I dominated. First, you remember?
Oh yeah, you knew. I don't care what you already knew. He played no other game at all. It was Left 4 Dead, and then he was doing Game Beats tournaments or whatever. What was that?
I mean, so after you do the campaigns, of course, and get good with that, you're gonna get bored. So then we had the online version where you could actually either be the survivor or you could play as the infected. And I started playing that online, and then we just basically had like little tournaments where we meet in the lobby and we'll go head to head, and that was my next level of concentration as far as playing that game. I mean, I played it so much I actually got a relationship out of it, like, because I was playing it for a while, and I met this one girl on there, and turns out she lives in the same city I do. Turns out she lives on the same side of town I do. Turns out she lives right down the street. So we actually had connected and had a nice little situation for about maybe 8 months or something like that. It was, yeah. I mean, it giving it a year would be actually exaggerating. It was a shorter time than a year.
Okay.
But it was a fun time. I do owe the 360 Left 4 Dead to that. So, I mean, I played that for a while, and that was my addiction there, because I considered myself almost pretty much leaving the gaming world, because, things were changing. The controllers were changing, the buttons were changing, the frame rates were changing. It's like I was telling him the other day, it's like the controller now has like 18 buttons on it, I guess so. And that's just too much for me right now. So, I played the Left 4 Dead for a while, and then I do remember getting into Mass Effect 3. It's either 2 or 3. I think it's 3.
3 had multiplayer. I know 3 definitely had a multiplayer. I'm not sure if 2 did, but 3 did have it. But before we go to that one, I wanted to get your thoughts on Left 4 Dead 2.
Yeah, Left 4 Dead 2 it had an opportunity to be better than what it was. The thing about Left 4 Dead 1 was it was very simple. Shoot the zombies. You had 3 different selections of guns, whether it be your 12 gauge, M16, or like a sniper rifle. And you always had your 2 pistols. They had to be reloaded, but you never ran out of bullets on that. You had pills, and you had health packs, and you had a smoker, a boomer, and a hunter to fight. And the zombies around, those were your specialty zombies. When they came out with Left 4 Dead 2, it it got ridiculous. They had chargers. They had this little random little imp that's running around that can hop on your head. There were zombies. It was more like if they would just had more maps and just kept it a little bit more simple. They had like what maybe added like 8 different more guns in there. Um, they had a respirator. Like if you die, you can be brought back to life with a EMT
Defibrillator.
defibrillator. Yes, thank you. They also had you can take an adrenaline shot and that made you run faster and it was just too much that they were trying to do. So they added extra monsters in there. They had that one. They had a tank. Well, they had a tank in the first one, but they had one where it had like one arm and he would charge real fast. And they had 2 different types of boomer. The jockey. That's what they called him because he would hop on your neck and he would ride you around and try to lead you into a whole bunch of zombies and get you all beaten up and mess it up. Smoker was still there. The hunters were still there, but it messed up a perfect recipe. I just put it like that. Too many chefs in the kitchen. They came up with more things. So if they would have left it to be with those new maps was pretty cool because it was kind of set in Louisiana, and you had like bogs and swamp areas and all that kind of stuff. It was pretty cool. But I played it for a while and then I just left it alone for some reason. Like a lot of people who played Left 4 Dead 1 did not transfer over to Left 4 Dead 2 as much as uh, you would think. Not in a way that we all anticipated to be there because a lot of us went back to Left 4 Dead 1.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And you didn't try Back for Blood yet?
Back for Blood? No, I haven't played it because I just I've been just busy with like other things in life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I definitely can not consider myself a gamer now, so I haven't considered anything new. And like I don't the last system that I own right now is the Xbox S or
The Xbox One Series S? I mean Xbox One S?
yeah, One S. That's the one I currently have. It's the most up to date one. And I don't know if it comes on there. I mean, I guess you could download it and plays it. Yeah, but I haven't looked forward to doing it. Currently, I'm in school right now, and that takes up a lot of my time as far as making sure I get good marks, as far as and still going to work and stuff. So I don't want to take away from what I'm trying to accomplish with that. With trying to go ahead and play the Back for Blood.
No, I definitely understand that. So going back to what you were saying with Mass Effect 3.
Yeah, Mass Effect 3 was great. I think it was an Inner Light, Seer, and Dark Phoenix, and King Cloud. We would like I would build a character, and we would go in there and play multiplayer, and all we had to do basically was to hold down this area until the extraction ship would come. So yeah, you have like 10 waves of the horde coming at you, and you had to fight your way. Each character we picked would like had some special adaptability, some kind of thing that they were adept at, and that contributed to the team being able to hold down this room where it'd be like setting up a turret sentinel here, or this guy can run and zip here and get something and come back. It was a great game.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the way it was Xbox Live, so you can sit there in your earpiece and talk to your friends.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the way the generations of the way the new con systems have changed, and just I love it.
Seer.
Yeah, Seer. Never heard itself being talked about, but yeah, yeah. So it was a great conversation as you're playing the game, and all you call out where your weak spots at, and you need help, reinforcements. So I love that, and that was one of the things I liked about Left 4 Dead 2. So we had good conversations as you played the game.
Yeah, I think that actually is one of the things that probably pushed it over to over the edge, because back in that time, that computer games, they had where you could, connect and talk with people or whatever, different kind of things like that. But then once Xbox put out, Xbox Live and, had the included directly in the box, 360 came with a headset.
Mm-hmm.
And the next iteration of Xbox Live was eventually brought out. But yeah, when it had the headset right in the box with the thing, and you jump out into the world, and hey, for console gamers, that was totally new, and you know, Xbox Live was the wild wild west in the beginning.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just totally new, and it was totally exciting, you know, because the world opened up. You know, it wasn't just you playing with your brother and you know your close knit friends or people that you would go a house with. Now you ain't got to go nowhere, and all you needed was a good connection. That the 360 was all broadband. It wasn't you know dial up modem like the Dreamcast was just. It started with just a regular dial up modem where you had to plug it to your phone line and this that and the other, and it was normal to have a ping of like 330 something, you know, ping or whatever. And but now, you know, the Xbox said no, you need broadband, and you know, go from there. And so now you got you know good ping. You able to shoot. If a person is right there, you shoot at them. Most likely you're gonna hit them. Whereas if it was on the Dreamcast, you had to lead the person like, I see him right there, but I need to shoot right here, because when by the time he get there, that's when my bullet's gonna be.
Leading the target.
Lead the target because you was already behind. You know, you see in the game a third of a second after it's already.
I couldn't
you know,
do
there.
that. I'd be too frustrated.
And so, but that's what you had to do in the beginning of this online game and stuff. You had to lead the target because your ping was crap. And then people, that's why they used to say ping is king. You know, the lower your ping, the better you know would be, because, like I said, half a second, you know, well, a third of a second, 300, you know, a 300 ping is like a third of a second behind everybody else, or a third of a second behind the game. And you know, if you got a ping of 300 and somebody got a ping of 50.
It's 6 times faster.
Exactly.
Ooh.
And
I never knew that.
yes, that's the whole thing with ping is, you know, it's how quickly you're seeing, and then what you do would go to connect to the server. So ping is king, and so come here. And so yeah, so Xbox jumping over to broadband and making everybody jump over to broadband so that everybody have a you know kind of a good experience is one of the things that made Xbox Live so good. And then they brought in the chat. Everybody would talk with each other and strategize, and like you said, it turned into where you got friends all over the place.
Yeah, and some people actually invented themselves into characters. And,
oh yeah.
You know, they had a whole different persona of what they were online versus what they were in real life. And you could tell that, even though you never met him, you could tell that guy is playing a character, and he's going to be that guy. But if it's entertaining, you keep him around.
Yep.
But yeah, that was one of the reasons. Like I was mentioning about Back for Blood, because knowing from what I did when I got into Left 4 Dead, how much of it took my life away. Like I spent playing that game. If Back for Blood is that, if they found the right recipe, like I said, I don't want to risk diving into that. And then next thing you know, I was like, oh man, I gotta be at work in like 2 hours. Yeah, you know. Next thing you know, I'm gonna have my own situation with some electricity, you know, and you know, then put the little connection. Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much what it is. But like things have changed over the times, and I don't know. See, that's like we mentioned before. It's like the computer controls is actually a little bit more than I'm willing to get more time to get into. Because that Back 4 Blood could be perfect, but those controls might be just crazy to learn all over again. Which is not saying that I can't do it. It's just I'm not willing to do it there.
I mean, you know, the Xbox controller hasn't changed from the 360 for the most part.
Yeah, it's about the same.
They got no more buttons, but like you were saying, you was almost stepped away from video games. I remember you also had a Wii. What was on the Wii that you was?
Well, the Wii was one of the. That's where I definitely laid down Zelda. I laid down Zelda because I was playing Twilight Princess, and it was fun until it wasn't. I don't know what happened, but because I think Twilight Princess, the storyline and everything was good. It's such an open world It's just like, and don't get me wrong, you still had to do that even in the very first Zelda or Link to the Past, where you had to go searching and collect rupees and, um, you know, get yourself up before you go conquer the next level boss or whatever. But with the Twilight Princess, it was like, you know, you could try to collect all these Bantrellas or you know, it was just so much open world to collect and just doing the discovery where I just got a little bit you know, bored. I would say I got bored trying to. I rather would have had a storyline where it kind of led me more in a direction of actually finishing the game.
So it wasn't like the Wii controls or anything like that?
No, I don't think it was the Wii control. I think it was just the open worldness of it that would just made it a little bit more than I was willing to put effort into. I think that's what it like. And I had that on there, and then I remember playing like the Wii sports games, Wii bowling and such.
Oh yeah, everybody was playing Wii bowling.
So I have that. I can't remember if I had anything else particular on there. Yeah, I can't. Not long after I got the Wii, I actually said it. Now, one of the most therapeutic games that I've gotten, that I played on there, that I thought was pretty cool, was was it Deep Blue Sea or something like that?
Oh, okay.
So yeah, you was scuba diving, and you could take people out on the tours, and your mission was to find different fishes to catalog, and you know, go to different lagoons and locations to go to. It was a very peaceful game, you know, and it came with its own music, but it also would allow you to put your music on a little drive, and you put it inside the Wii.
Oh, okay.
And I would put in like Celtic Woman or Enya, which would play like weird kind of like real chill music, which would be like probably lo-fi girl kind of stuff nowadays. But yeah, but that was my version of that, and I would just like be literally just underwater, like you know, listening to some Enya. You know, it was just a real chill game. So I remember playing that a lot, and if I decide to go retro and get that system again, I'm going to put that back on there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So then I think that's probably right around the time you stepped away from gaming for the most part.
Yeah.
And so you eventually did what? You got a Xbox S, you said?
Yeah, I did get an Xbox S. I'm not pretty sure about why.
Yeah, I'm not sure about why either.
It'll come to me eventually, but I don't know why. I owned it, but I didn't really use it that much. I have it now, and it's damn near still mint, because whatever I played on there, I guess it didn't keep to me.
Okay. So one of the things that I point out is gaming is more than just consoles. You know, you got the PC, you got the consoles, you also got mobile. And you do mobile games.
I play some games on my phone, yeah. They're not spectacular games, they're just like more teaser games, like blocks, where you had to get certain block shapes in order to fill a particular area. And you have to figure out how to arrange the blocks in order to make them fit into that area without any sticking in there with no spaces. I like that kind of stuff. Maze or pipes, where you have to connect one end to another one without any pipes crossing over each other.
Okay.
Yeah, so you have to run the routes and make each color match up to whichever ones where they fit without actually having to go on top of those.
Playing that for a hot second.
Yeah, I've gotten really good at it. I remember at one job where I had that and somebody else had it, and we were going head to head, and it was like, okay, we're gonna race them, and I was just, I was just getting into it, and I figured, like, the way I remember thinking to myself, make a path, but always make a path for the next pipe to go through as like an alleyway. So I was just setting up this, and if I knew there was, like, when I get to this section, there was another color that had to be there. As long as I made a path for that to get to there, you know, it's a strategic thing. And I would beat the crap out of her, and she's like, "Damn, how did you finish so soon?" And I'm like, you know, I let her pick whatever level you wanted to play with, and you know, it was just my thing. Mobile games, I mean, like Sudoku. That's a simple game. It's like, if you know anything about Sudoku, it's 1 through 9, 9 quadrants. In each quadrant, you have to have 1 through 9, and that would actually line up to 9 columns and nine rows, and each one of those columns have to have 1 through 9 without any duplicates in each column, quadrant, or row.
Mm-hmm.
They will start you off with a couple of them, depending on what level you pick. And from there, you just have to make them all fit. And they give you, like, the way I play, you give you like 3 chances.
Mm-hmm.
And, 3 chances for errors. Otherwise, you have to start all over again. But yeah, I like that one a lot. It's a real quick one. You can take about 10 minutes. I like to play it like before work. Just
10 minutes. What difficulty level?
Oh, I do hard. Expert, well, I can do expert. It takes more time.
Mm-hmm.
But anything under hard, I wouldn't. It's not worth my time because they basically give you the game. But hard, it's like they'll set you up with a nice amount, and then it takes a second before you can figure out what would be the next move to be. Mm-hmm. I actually challenged myself to try to figure out which number is going to be the first number that I'm going to get all 9 of, and be the first one out of the list of of the numbers to be X'd out.
So, which Sudoku program do you use? Because the iPhone got a million of them.
Yeah, I don't even know what it is. It's just it's green and white. I know that much. I don't know who published it or what's the super name of it or anything. But I like that one, and Mahjong.
Oh, I already play Mahjong.
Yeah. So that just stacks up. You just have to basically hit the likes tiles, the likes of them, and it's a time-based game. I got into that.
Mahjong time-based?
It can be time-based because I'm not sure. I never had a situation where I ran out of time, but I know if it is time-based, where it depends on whether you get 1, 2, or 3 stars.
Okay, so the faster you do it, the more stars you get.
Exactly. Yeah. You want to collect 3 stars. I've always got 3 stars. If I got less than 3 stars or 2 stars, I would retry it. Because I was like, oh, they just gave me a bad stack. That's all. So I would redo it again. I would actually, when I was working in a bar, they would have like the little multiple games on a little screen that you could just pop a couple dollars in there and just play, get credits. And that's why I learned that I was like a Mahjong dude. Mm-hmm. But I would literally be sitting there drinking on a beer and just and then I remember the barmaid was like, wow, nobody really plays that, and the one that does play it, he's not as fast as you. And because I just sit there and just, I don't know, it was my thing. I loved it. Mm-hmm. But I like those kind of games, and like I'm more of a mental stimulant kind of guy, not so much as hand-eye coordination, speed kind of timing thing. So I do like games where it's like the solve, like almost like escape room kind of game, where like they give you certain things to figure out in order to move to the next board, and you're not given too many clues. Mm-hmm. So those kind of games I am looking forward to playing. I got a bigger tablet or iPad or something like that, so I got a bigger screen so I can see it better than just being on my phone. So I'm going to be looking forward to actually diving more into those types of games.
Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. So you say you're not a gamer. All of that last 5-10 minutes sounded like a gamer, and I was just talking about the mobile stuff. So so that's why I always say that mobile games are games. You're still a gamer, even if you're just playing phone games, because they're involved. Puzzle things and everything like that. You can get maybe not just, well, it depends on the person, but you can get just as stimulated playing mobile games as you can doing other games or things like that, because it's all about engaging your brain and everything like you like. So that's why I was letting you go, and you were just talking about mobile games and you was into it and animated and blah 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 blah. So mobile games, you're a gamer. Even if you play mobile games, you're still a gamer.
So. I'm still a gamer?
You're still a gamer.
All right.
So we're almost done here. I just want to tangent off of electronic games real quick and go to like chess or Monopoly or D&D. Tell me, quickly, because it's 3:18. You ain't got too much more time, I don't think.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I got some things I gotta do before I have to leave. But as far as board games, chess, I do like that. I haven't played in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I know you play chess,
Well, yeah.
but you probably haven't played in a long time as well.
Exactly. Yeah,
So
it's been a while.
I may actually be a challenge for you, depending on how far I fall. I might be actually a challenge for you, but I don't know. Board games, I don't really play too much. It's if you find a family night or something like that. Monopoly was one of my favorite ones.
Right.
I'm always looking forward to that. Sorry is a great game,
Mm.
but it also can break up friendships. Sorry, boy, you trying to get your pieces home, and if you gotta bump off your boy, you gotta take your mama out. It is what it is, mama. I mean, we all trying to get home. You know what I'm saying? So that game, because you could be getting close to making some progress, and somebody bump you off, and you understand that's what the game is all about. But man, you hate to have to do it or have it done to you. So sorry is one of those, and so is Uno.
Mm.
Uno will create. It will start some static in that game too. It's highly competitive.
Yeah, well, see, Uno is a game that I never really liked, but people around me like it, and especially now, they turn it into a drinking game, and so I play it because they like to play it, and whoo, yeah, it's not good to. And now that they made the cards where they got the blank ones and you write,
Yeah,
write the different things on there.
draw 15, something like that.
Well, the people I hang out with, we're Fit and Furious, or actually, Fit and Sip. But so we got one of the cards says, take 2 shots and spin that ass in a circle. The other one is you got to do 5 push-ups. Just
Okay.
take a shot and do 5 push-ups. Another one is you got to take 3 shots. And man, just
Depending on what you're drinking that night, it's gonna be a long night.
well, man, them foods, yeah, man. And then if you lose, of course, you got to take a shot. If you're the last person to get out, and man, them shots be going around.
Yeah.
Let's say that.
You bring big bottles to the party because it's gonna be one. I like it. Yeah. As far as board games, I'm always up for them, but it's not necessarily a need for me to do. Yeah. What other board games are there? To be honest.
There's plenty of them.
Oh yeah, I know there's plenty.
But you play D&D occasionally.
Yeah, occasionally is actually being very generous. It was more one of those situations where I like to listen to D&D game being played, because I don't have I don't know what you want to call it, but like as far as like building a character and keeping up with the character, adding to his inventory of things that you might collected during your quest, and that's not me. I literally would see what I could do, and I remember playing those games where the dungeon master would be like, well, what does your character have? And I'm like, do you have a knife? Yes, it says I have a throwing knife. Yes. Can I throw that? I can throw that, right? I'm throwing that. So, and all the people around me was like, man, I have sneak attack, and if I roll this, I can come up from behind and get a sneak attack, and that's gonna give me 2 extra bonus points with the hit and everything. And I'm like, I have a knife. So it wasn't for me. I like listening to the game and using the imagination of trying to get through the stories, but it's one of those things where I need an interpreter or somebody to play that part for me. And like I remember, like they was like, okay, and they were like, okay, roll a 20, and I'm like, boom. Did I hit?
What that mean?
Exactly. So it's I can see why people like it, especially like back in the days when it was really a real thing. Like they bring it out on that movie Stranger Things, you know, talking about the Dungeons and Dragons stuff. So I definitely see the value of it, but I'm just not to that level where I would understand how to access it and get into it that much involved. But.
No, I think for me, one of my favorite ones when you was playing with us, Interlight was DMing as most of the time he always is, but you and Phoenix had went into this bar, and I forgot what y'all was going in there for, trying to figure out, find the Thieves Guild or something like that, and Phoenix went in there like a badass and got his ass shot up, killed, and then they turned to you and like, I don't know that motherfucker. Like, cause he went down like a sack of bricks in like one round, and he was like, "Oh, they did that to him like that." I just came for some milk. I don't know nothing about what he came in here for.
Yeah, it was almost like a scene from Friday. Like, you want some of this old man? Nope. So yeah.
So yeah, definitely. But yeah, like I said, it's been great. You know, going down memory lane with my brother. You know, video games, the history, intertwined, separate, and everything like that. What do you? Anything else you want to say?
No, I mean, basically, I think we covered a lot of the things that was the general actualization of the time that we had as far as when it comes to video games. Because I remember even like sitting back and watching you play the Ninja Gaiden game, and that was really great because they brought it out for the 360, I think it was, when they redid it, Ninja Gaiden, and I remember watching you play and learn how to use the different sword techniques and using the nunchucks and stuff like that. So it's always been fun. I actually want to thank you for providing me entertainment to watch as far as those games go, because I knew at some point I'm like, I like this game. I'm not gonna buy it, but I like it.
I like it, but I'm not gonna buy it.
No.
But I do like it.
Yeah, but when I found what I liked though, I stuck with it.
Yeah, because there was at least 2 years of Left 4 Dead.
Yeah, 2 pushing maybe 3 possibly. Yeah, and then that Mass Effect run was like, that was a nice little run too for a while.
Yep, I do remember that. Well, that has been episode 3 of Pitts Gaming. Interview with my brother Antoine. You guys might see this shirt. It's a Gorilla Tap special. You can catch him on Twitch most nights under Gorilla Tap 1. And I think that's it. So have great fun. Play games no matter where, no matter what kind. Have fun.